Spec getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is the 12th and final round of the season, coming to you today from Lédenon. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Well, Charles, to round off what has been a unique season of Weekend Warriors action, we head off to one of the more unique racetracks here on iRacing with 15 turns and enough elevation change that would rival certain mountains. This is a real tough test for these drivers to round this season off.
Yeah, it really is. I'm not really sure if this is a racetrack or it's a Tour de France layout for the mountain stages. But you're right. A lot of elevation, a lot of twisty turns, and a very technical track. It's really gonna put a challenge in our drivers today. And looking forward to the race though, because our drivers always step up, and we'll figure out a way to get around this track in a quickness. And so, just like I said, looking forward to it. Good way to end the season. We've had some different challenges this season, and this is just another one to cap things off.
Yeah, it's another feather in the cap for these competitors. Even though we have been here before, this track is always quite a bizarre one to approach to. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that of the free road courses, this is probably one of the least used. It is part of base content, but nobody really gives a rat's ass about it, which is, I think, a bit of a shame. I think this track can put on some good racing under the right circumstances, and it is such an odd ride for sure, as we see Mr. Wilkie heading his way off through the 8 and 9 section here. Still early on in this broadcast, so probably a good time, as ever, to take a look at the championship point standings as we head off into the season finale. Now, certain battles are settled, and certain ones are not. Here's one that we're thinking is settled, because although Ian Joyner and Nathaniel Schramm are separated by just 8 points, Nathaniel Schramm is not here at the moment. So it's bad news for the people in the YouTube chat, bad news for Schramm, fantastic news for Ian Joyner, as he looks to become one of the first drivers in quite some time to become a Spec 1 champion in both the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors and the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors in the span of just about 1 calendar year. I think it was in season 1 of 2025 when he was able to get the job done there. Jason Green, who's currently your provisional pole sitter, is slotted 3rd in class. Dirk Braun, sponsor throughout this season, is in 4th. Kane Halliburton, your reigning champion, at least for today. That will change in about an hour's time. Rounds out your top 5 in Spec 1. Here's how it looks on Spec 2, where things are a little bit more touch and go here. Looks to be a 2-horse race between Richard Harwood in the 777 car and Scott Russell in the 222. You can see the other championship points permutations there and how things are looking, but it's really feeling like it's advantage Scott Russell, even though he is a little bit farther back. I believe that's 15 points the margin between himself and Richard Harwood. He's currently slotted P3 overall in this field right now. Harwood down in 8th. There'll be a race to manage for the driver of the 777 car. You can see Matt Thompson, Kevin Adrian, and Paul Jackson completing your field. Keep an eye on that Adrian and Jackson fight for the final 2 spots inside the top 5. That's going to be intense. Here's how it looks in Masters, meanwhile, where Jörg Monty is pretty much your presumptive champion at the moment. Holds on to a comfortable margin between himself and Rich Meesters in 2nd. Chris Thorpe is in 3rd. Brad Cathcart is, I say Chris Thorpe was in 4th. He's in 3rd, with Brad Cathcart and Antonio Reese rounding out your top 5. See, whenever it comes to the numbers, I'm like, did I say one number? I meant the other. Got them crossed up. The wires get crossed from time to time. But regardless, Charles, this is going to be a showdown of the mighty, especially in Spec 2, which has been incredibly competitive, really all across the board, and from Formula Vs, Formula Fords, and Spec Racer Fords.
Yeah, I was looking at the as you were reading them out, is Paul Jackson with the Spec 2 championship in in the Formula Ford, and then it comes around and still in the top 5, with maybe a potential for moving up a position here in the SRFs. And we've talked about the differences between these type of cars and how different they are as far as the racing is concerned. So to end up with a dual top 5 is a pretty big accomplishment for Paul Jackson. And yeah, it's 3 points separating 3rd through 5th in the Masters. There's still quite a battle for that final step on the Masters podium. So that'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on during the race today, because it could go either way at this point. You never can tell. As we're about 13 and a half minutes, almost 14 minutes through qualifying. Joyner leading now, just upping that a little bit over Scott Russell, who's moved up to P2. Jason Green in 3rd. Al Shutwee in 4th in our sponsor for the last few races of the season, Dirk Braun, sitting there in 5th. So yeah, it's still lots to play for today. And even if you're not in contention for a championship, to get a good solid result here today just gives you a little momentum for next season, because it's only 2 short weeks away and we'll be doing it all over again.
Yeah, and of course, come time for the start of Season 2, have a whole new raft of tracks to consider. But we do have the Weekend Warriors runoffs coming up here in just about a week's time on slow motion broadcasting action from Lime Rock that we saw round out the Formula Ford schedule a little bit earlier on today here on SMB and Road Atlanta, which we last saw for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors 10th anniversary special race just about nearly 2 seasons ago now. Man, time flies when you're having fun. Looking at Dirk Braun as he heads his way off through the final sector. I think we'll do a lap guide with him in a couple of moments, but for the last time this season, we would want to let you know that this race is sponsored by Durkee's Dickles. They know that every lap is hot and that consistency matters. No limp competition here, just serious crunch, undeniable girth, and performance that fills each jar. Whether you want mild, hot, or why the hell did I think I could handle that, they bring the heat and performance you can feel. Durkee's Dickles puts the tickle in your pickle. Certainly put the tickle in my pickle throughout this season. That's going to get clipped and taken horrendously out of context. Let's do an onboard lap here with Dirk Braun, shall we?
Yeah, let's do that as we head down the front straight and leading into turn one. Pretty little open corner here, carrying a lot of speed through there, and then starting to slow down and check up for the triple gauche, which is turns 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, and 3, depending on how you want to look at it. Either way, you're going to come out and you're going to make a little run down out of 4 and into Virage du Pont, which is turn 5. 180-degree corner. You see how the track goes down and then comes back up, so a little bit of a crevasse there as we head up to turn 6, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, but once again, another pretty tight but opening corner, so ascending radius corner there at 6, through a little kink of turn 7, and then down to Virage du Camion, which is turn 8, La Cavalette, which is turn 9, and that's going to bring you back up. You can see the elevation here. It just makes this so much more difficult here. It's not the biggest track in the world, but you can see all the elevation changes on braking points makes this just even more difficult as they work their way through 11 and then down through 12 into the not much of a corner here, which is 13. Cutting a lot of that as well into 14, La Cuvette. And that is the final corner of any note as we head back up through 15 and down the front straight again to the start-finish line. So there's your lap guide here at Lédenon as we finish up. And speaking of finishing up, I finished up my pickles that I got from Durkee's Dickles, which were fantastic. But I want to say, if you want to kick it up a notch, you take some of that pickle juice and you marinate your chicken. And I use chicken breast tenderloin, so made some chicken fingers, marinate that overnight in the pickle juice, and then give it a nice little light batter. Throw it in some hot oil, and you've got yourself a treat. And I'm trying to come up with a name for it, Ron, so I don't know if it's chicken dickles or if it's dickle fingers or
Chickles?
what. But you never can tell. But I will say, it adds a great bit of flavor to chicken if you use the brine there as a marinade for those, and even take a little bit, add it to some sauce that you can make using ketchup, mustard, mayo, salt, and pepper, a little bit of pickle juice, and you've got yourself quite a nice dipping sauce to go along with it.
Yeah, that does sound very, very nice, and I feel kind of bad now because I was blanking out when we were talking about it before the broadcast about your new recipe with Durkee's Dickles. And I remember, as you were saying just a few moments ago, you told me about that right before we went live for the Sim Racers Group F4 broadcast earlier on this week that I was in the production booth for. So that does sound very, very nice. It's been a while since I had some nice fresh-made fried chicken. Most of the chicken I usually have nowadays is just in a sandwich variety from Wawa. $5 chicken sandwiches nowadays, top-tier stuff.
Are you sure that's even chicken?
It could not be. Maybe it's seal meat, potentially. It's one thing I've never had in my life is penguin meat. But actually, another food-related joke that I was going to make here was when we were talking about some of the other corner pronunciations, it gave me flashbacks to Guido's lap guide last time out at Imola. And I was going to say, Guido, how about you do the lap guide here once more? But it being in France, I feel like Guido would spend the entire time poking fun at French cuisine, which is fully fair. I would rather have a nice bowl of cacio e pepe instead of escargot.
Oh,
Guido can speak French. Oh,
we just learned something.
Oh, that is
That is true. That is true. Guido's talking about you have to know your enemies, and it's absolutely true. The first words you should learn of any foreign language are the curse words. I firmly believe that. So,
God. Oh, that gave me some middle school flashbacks. Me and my buddy Jimmy, who I'm still friends with, we had this friend in middle school, Alejandro. He was just like, I would captain to guess probably about like 4'9" kid from the Dominican Republic, spoke like 5 words of English at the start of the class. He was in our homeroom in 8th grade, and immediately what we were teaching him in English were curse words, and what he was teaching us in Spanish were curse words. So that's a nice little insight into 8th grade me. I wouldn't want to share anything else because I was fatter than the Michelin Man back then. My God.
As finishing up our qualifying here, looks like Ian Joyner is going to take pole position. We do have a couple more cars out on track, but I think we're pretty much wrapped up here. We're going to have a nice little 40-minute race with a mandatory pit stop. Obviously, I don't think that even if they tried to fuel, so I'm not sure they could get there on a track like this. I think there's a lot of fuel being used here, so I'm looking for some quick pit stops here, and we'll have a 40-minute race. Obviously, we need to get through the first lap or two, get these cars spread out single file, and then we can do some racing from that point on.
Yeah, then we can bring the thunder, but let's get the field settled first. Solal Shutway was quick in the first sector, puts yellows in sector 2 and 3. He jumps up in front of Rich Meesters, your current provisional Masters pole sitter, but not enough to jump any higher than that. Jason Green going to abort on a lap. Ian Joyner Green in the final sector improves on his pole time to jump to 129.390. Got the numbers tied once again, but that is still a comfortable pole position for your presumptive Spec 1 champion. Jason Dunnington also is in this field, completing her 22 driver set to grab the green here soon, but he did not set a qualifying time, so we'll have to see if he is actually out there on the racetrack come time for the start of this race. So Wilkie was able to come across the line in 14th. Antonio Reese, as he usually is.
We did lose Ron, so we'll see if when that comes back. There he goes.
Oh, I'm back. Okay, well, I think it's the iRacing god trying to tell me that I've been doing too many shows. They're trying to shut me up.
It may be so. Maybe so. You're probably on your 200th this year already. On March 8th.
I decided to stop keeping track of it because if I think that I've only done like 5 shows this year, I'm basically like what would be the correct term? Gaslighting myself into a false sense of being relaxed and tame. Let's take a look at our starting grid, though, before we dive off into my psychology, which is not a place that you want to be in. Ian Joyner is going to start this race from the pole position. Scott Russell going to join him on the front row, grabbing the Spec 2 pole in the process. P3 will be Jason Green. P4 will be Solal Shutway. Rich Meester is going to start this race in 5th, grabbing the Masters pole for the final time here this season. Fantastic campaign for the Canadian in the 964 car. Dirk Braun will start in 6th. Right behind is Richard Harwood, starting in 7th in the 777 car. He'll be alongside Jörg Mani, with Antonio Reese and Hugh Simpkins completing her top 10.
Yeah, Chris Murakami will start in P11. Steve Saunders outside row 6 and 12th. Tom Gradwell 13th. Josh Wilkie 14th. Brad Cathcart starting in 15th. Phil Berry in 16th. Chris Thorpe 17th. Adam Bradshaw 18th. Paul Jackson will start in 19th. Michael Nelson starts in P20. P21 is Jeff Jacobson, and Jason Dunnington will start in P22 if he takes the start. I don't see a qualifying time for him, but I don't see him setting up for a pit start. So we'll see if he shows up or not. So we're going to either have 21 or 22 on the starting grid.
Yeah, but either way you slice it, a pretty strong field of drivers to bring this season to a conclusion here in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. Off the back of that joke that we made a few moments ago when my microphone randomly just decided to give up the ghost. Last night and this morning, technically, I was on the air for 7 hours straight, so I now have been able to set a new record for the longest I've been on the air at any single point in time, which is not something that I look to try and re-up from there.
No, it doesn't seem like that would be something I would keep attempting to break. I've done some races where I've covered 3 or 4 hours solo. And 6 hours as a duo, and it's very difficult to talk for that length of time without having to just kind of step away for a minute and get a break. So it's I don't envy that task, as we've got some little gaps in here as we're starting to fill up, as we're getting ready to get this race underway. We need to get that outside line moving up. Come on, here we go, guys, and it's like we're getting ready to go green.
Yeah, that outside line apocalyptically disjointed, but we're about to grab a green flag for the final time here in this Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors season. Chaos at the stars. We're already fanning out 3 and 4 wide farther in the back, but the green flag flies. The drivers are on their way, and we're racing here at Lédenon. Fantastic start there from Ian Joyner and Jason Green, driving off into the sunset. Scott Russell with championship aspirations, looking to put together a good and a clean drive too. Touching back on the story, Jason Dunnington did not grab the start. So 21 drivers grabbing the green flag for the final time here this season. It's Rich Meester is currently trying to battle with Richard Harwood, who's already jumped his way up to 4th.
Yeah, a good start by most everybody. Solal Shelby looked like he started from the pits. So yeah, so started from the pits, did not take his starting position. I think that might have had something to do with the outside line there a little bit, but he's already kind of caught the back of the field. Or will be here very shortly, and so he's got a little bit of ground to make up, but you know, he's a pretty quick racer and had a good qualifying run, so I'm sure he can make up the stagger pretty quickly.
Yeah, so that'll be fascinating to keep an eye on Al Shutway as we continue on throughout this race. Still on the first lap, heading our way off through the top end of the circuit right now. That's turn number 11. And now you head your way down the hill through the cascading bends. Contact made farther in the back. That was a gutsy move from Simpkins on Murakami. Murakami held on to it, though. Had to snap that steering wheel around to make sure that car was pointing in the right direction.
Oh, no.
And Cosmic Debt got be repaid to Simpkins as just a few turns later he goes off the track.
Yeah, that was kind of karmic, wasn't it? As you saw the contact there between Simpkins and moving to the inside of Murakami, who catches the car very nicely, and then Simpkins losing it a couple corners later, and then dropping down to the back of the field. So he's down in P19, just ahead of Michael Nelson. As I've still got a nice battle up here. Looked like maybe that Rich Meesters might have been a little bit of a cork in the bottle for Dirk Braun, but I think Dirk has managed to squeeze his way through and pick up P5. Meesters drops down to 6, and now it's going to be a master's battle for the entire second half of the top 10 with all those cars as we get a replay here. We are on board here with Michael Nelson. So you see him 3 wide in the back of the pack. Nelson in the middle, and a little contact there between him and Josh Wilkie, as Nelson may have checked up just a little bit there, but contact made. Nelson able to get the car rejoined. He's just the back of the pack, and Wilkie hoping karma doesn't strike him as he's hanging on there in 13th. Yeah,
I think Josh is just hoping to get to avoid the falling anvils here. As more drama went on with Michael Nelson as we were cutting to that replay. This is heading down to turn number 5. Quick little spin it was here. This downhill braking zone, very easy to keep the momentum rolling. When the car grips up, disaster can arise, unfortunately for Nelson. Simple little spin, no wall contact, but losing out on a boatload of time. So take a look at another replay here. This is Scott Russell with championship hopes and his main championship rival right in tow. Wouldn't be in a championship clinching position if this were to remain the case, but I don't believe it did because he spun heading his way to the final turn, and that was contact as well with Harwood.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa. And that was a kind of a rough rejoin there, and put Dirk Braun in a bit of a pickle. If I can use that pun at least once this season, I'll be happy. Oh, wow. So we got another spin there. That's Antonio Reese, who was up there running. And like I said, that we had a battle in the top, the second half of the top 10. We're all Masters drivers, and that has changed quickly. There is a Reese spun. I think we had an incident involving Josh Wilkie, who has towed back to the pit. So, yeah, there's something that happened there. We'll have to get a replay. It looks like we're going to get one here as we're working our way around the corner, and Josh just losing the rear of the car. Very, very strange there. And then getting it reset and just not really sure what was going on. But that might have had a little help there on that one. It looks like the curbs were giving Josh a little bit of a fit there as he was struggling. Just kind of keep the contact with the car, and the car pointing the straight line. As a little bit of drama there in that lap.
As we see the Maunz for Antonio hit a bad bump through 5 and eventually loses it on the exit of the turn. Smoke screen in full effect, getting some donut practice here, but unfortunately not going to be able to test out that practice in the race at the end of this one. As we take a look, driver scrambling. Oh, that was a spin for Josh. I hit him with a bad commentator's jinx, and knowing my luck, he'll probably kick me out of the Discord server after.
Oh, there we go. As he has been removed, and he'll be back in a minute. As you Simpkins there with contact, and he's back. So Ron has snuck back into the booth after Josh has given him the boot. So he's back, and Ron, I hope that you're okay. Mark yourself safe in your social media. From Josh
I'm going to get my walking papers.
As we're continuing on here, it's a little topsy-turvy. There's a couple corners that are catching these drivers out. Turn 5 seems to be a little bit of a menace today, as we've seen several spins there already.
Yeah, so lots of drama taking place already here in this race, and we won't talk about that one bit of drama because I am a fan of job security. Side-by-side racing still going on here, though. You can see that wounded car of Tom Gradwell trying to yield way off through turn number 11 as he tries to let Brad Cathcart and Sul Al Shutwi by. Al Shutwi peeking his way through the smoke and the chaos, already jumping his way up into 9th after a pit lane start. As farther up the road, things have really grown out. Ian Joyner holding on to a 1 second margin over Jason Green. Just set the fast lap of the race last time by as well. As here comes Al Shutwi on Cathcart side-by-side as they come across a stripe, cresting the hill into turn number 1. Battle less late breakers, and Cathcart going to yield. Al Shutwi now breaking his way up into 8th, but a large gap between himself and Steve Saunders for 7th.
Yeah, starting to see a few big gaps up there at the front of the field as we've got almost 5 seconds back to Richard Harwood sitting there in 3rd, leading Spec 2 as we saw Russell with issues a little bit earlier there has fallen down to 14th. That's advantage Harwood there in the Spec 2 battle. Jorgmani now up to P4 as he is taking over the Masters class. We saw the issue with Antonio Reese. He's got Rich Meesters only 2 behind him, so Rich not out of this yet to get the class victory. And just once again, a little chaotic here in the opening few minutes of this race.
Yeah, so Ian Joyner, pretty much the only sense of calmness throughout this field is your top 4. Yeah, I say that, though. Jorgmani, Dirk Braun, Rich Meesters, they've got their own little squabble going on here, and Dirk Braun's still recovering from that Code Brown moment that happened heading out of the final turn. I say that the top 3 are clean, though. Harwood had his own moment, too, so is everything going on there? I'm sorry. I just saw a notification from Josh pop up on Discord. I was worried for a second.
He's already looking for an interview. Let's give him a couple of minutes to calm down just a little bit before if we're going to bring him in mid-race, as we'll give him a chance to cool off a little bit before we bring him in and he fires you properly. As we're looking on board here with Scott Russell, once again running 14th. He's in kind of a pack here of some Masters drivers with Murakami and Reese in front and Chris Thorpe just behind. So we've got a bit of work to do, but still early in this race. We're only inside of 9 minutes thus far. So he's got plenty of opportunities, and he obviously had a fast race car during qualifying. As we see, Dirk is at the 905. That's Brad Cathcart with an issue there. Saw some smoke behind him. Maybe missed that corner just a little bit. Had to kind of correct the car, but has managed to get things rolling again. But has dropped a couple positions as Murakami and Reese were able to get by.
I'm not looking forward to this interview in the slightest. So I'm going to say flat out that if this is my final broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, it has been an absolute treat and an honor and a privilege over the past coming up to 2 years. I've been here for 2 years. I don't like the fact that I've been doing this stuff for over 3 years now. It was on Tuesday that I celebrated my broadcast anniversary. And ever since then, the blight that is my voice has been spoiled across the entire. I'm basically like the potato famine in Ireland back in the day. So next thing you know, maybe in a couple of years, iRacing will have their own version of the Celtics because you can kind of trace those two together. Oh boy, let's look at this battle now for the Masters lead. It's Jörg Mani and Rich Meesters. This is an interesting fight. You've got some of the top 2 stars throughout the season in the Masters category. I want to give some love to Meesters, though. He has put together a really impressive campaign here in Season 1 of 2026.
Yeah, he really has. He's really stepped it up and has really improved and got a lot better finishes. Obviously, contending for the championship. I don't think he's going to get there. But once again, in contention, which we haven't seen from Rich. So, yeah, really well done. And hats off to a great season thus far. I'm sure he'll be happy with the P2, but obviously with the he was in a run there where he was leading in the championship early in the season, just could not quite seal the deal as we battle here between Scott Russell and Brad Cathcart there. Cathcart not wanting to really give up that position yet, as he's got two of his classmates right there in front. And Scott is just looking to try and get through. He's got Philip Berry 4 spots ahead. So he wants to try and get back up there and get another position or two in the Spec 2 to try and get as many points as possible. So every point counts, every position counts here. As we see Brad Cathcart releasing Scott Russell, he can now go as Cathcart comes into the pits.
Yeah, so Cathcart now coming down pit lane. This race already is given the feeling of one where everybody's going to be split on the strategies just because everybody has at least one hammer blow done to any of the pieces of bodywork on their machine. So we'll have to find out as we get to the end of this final race of this season. It's been a thriller, and we still have some more battling. Look at this 2x2 formation flying into 5. That's going to be the fight with Antonio Reich trying to get past Tom Gradwell. Masters drivers battling there. And then we've got Chris Murakami and Phil Berry squabbling up right in front. Phil Berry kind of breaking away from the norm this season with that Big Bird scheme. Whenever I see that car, I think of the fact that Big Bird nearly ended up on the Challenger.
That's interesting, as we are it's a big difference from Cookie Monster. Maybe he's becoming diabetic and he's having to change his lifestyle a little bit, going to birdseed as opposed to cookies. I kind of feel for him. I mean, yeah, exactly right. As he's kind of in the middle of this Masters battle there with Murakami ahead, Reese and Gradwell behind, Scott Russell closing that group down. So Russell's going to be up there as well. But you see the damage on the front of Gradwell's car. That's kind of cost him a little bit. It's going to change his some of his cornering there as he comes into the pits. He'll get his fast repair, and probably a good time as he was on the back of that and kind of stuck in that draft train just a little bit. And so now he'll come into the pits and see if he can get his car fueled and repaired, and that gives Scott Russell another position. So now he is directly behind Spec 2 contender, another Spec 2 contender in Philip Berry. So now Scott Russell has his sights firmly set on the Big Bird, and will be looking to get up there and do some challenging here in short order.
Yeah, so the pit stop's going on, a slow trickle of drivers coming into the pits. See Mr. Wilkie up there in the booth. I'm curious, do we tempt fate now? Do we
bring him
for this?
Yeah, we've given him a chance to cool off a little bit. I think he'll be okay. Obviously, Josh is a professional. He's not going to come in here and do anything that we're going to have to remove him for. So it's not like
I think I've probably
he would just come back
than he has.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, let's pop him in.
Hello, Josh. Are you here to hand me my walking papers?
No walking papers, of course not. No, I had a bit of a tough one there. Some bad settings on my end. I had anti-stall clutch for some reason, so I couldn't downshift, and then all of a sudden it just downshifted on me, and I ended up spinning and trying to recover it. Maybe I could do it. No, it wasn't working for me, so I'm having to hit the downshift paddle 6 times every time I try to downshift once. It was getting really difficult out there, so I just decided to quit.
Yeah, so that's an unfortunate moment there.
Yeah. That definitely would do it. Yeah, so Josh, we talked about this between the broadcast today that you were going to go out and give it a shot. Obviously, haven't had the best of health here lately, and so other than the car problems, how's the track out there? How's the we saw some drivers struggle a little bit, especially in turn 5, as we see a slow car here, and that's Steve Saunders losing ground. So how's the track conditions out there for the rest of these drivers?
Yeah, the track felt great, honestly. I was just kind of starting to find a bit of a groove there and really getting into a good fight with some of the cars out there. I believe it was Chris Murakami and a couple others there. It's a real shame, unfortunately. No, this track is fun. It's a really fun track. It's technical. I really like it, and I was meshing with it pretty well there other than the car. So I think they're going to have a bunch of fun out there. Just big shout outs to everybody racing so clean all the time and good stuff. Won't take up any more of your time here, guys, but I just want to thank everybody in the booth and out on the track there and my competitors and stuff. Hopefully they can come back a bit stronger next season.
Cool, Josh. Thanks for popping in and keeping it PG. I know it's frustrating sometimes when you leave a race early, so we appreciate that. And we'll let you go and we'll let you go and relax a little bit. So we'll finish up this broadcast here. As that was Josh Wilkie coming in from an early departure here in the SRF race. As we get back to the action, saw Steve Saunders. Looks like he's having the same issues with turn 5 as a lot of our other drivers there, Ron.
Well, my keister wasn't kicked, and I'm still here at Slow Motion Broadcasting. I consider this as a win. Still have some battles out there, and seeing some trains begin to form. This one kind of broke it up into a 2-2 affair, but still somewhat close. Antonio Reese, Chris Murakami farther up the road. Scott Russell and Phil Berry on camera at the moment. This is a very unfortunate way for things to go for Scott Russell. Had a lot of pace, of course, in practice and in qualifying. But with the damage on that race car, you can see front-end damage and back-end damage. Even around this racetrack, that's probably one of the more technical ones that we have visited throughout this season. That's just going to be a killer.
Yeah, it really is. I guess the only saving grace is there's not a lot. I mean, there's some draft areas here, but for the most part, it's going to be more of a technical race than it will be a draft race. But Scott's doing a good job of recovery. He's up to P10, so he is still gaining position, so he still does have some decent pace in the car. Obviously, the closer you get to the front, the harder it is to make those moves. So he's got Chris Murakami and Antonio Reese directly in front, and let's see how he manages to hang on. And Phil Berry trying to hang on to the back of him to maybe pull a little bit of a gap and give himself some clean air as well.
But one man who's feeling quite happy about how things have gone so far is Ian Jr., your race leader. Does have Jeff Jacobson farther up the road as a first bit of lap traffic, but I'm sure there will be a yield there soon for Jr. to try and complete what has been a brilliant season for him. Now we got to see him try and get a Spec 1 championship in the Vs. That may be a bit of a giant to slay in that championship. Have two very, very fast drivers in there in the form of Champion Tortolo and our very own Mr. Guido Marzucchi, who was able to grab his 4th win this past season in Formula V competition. If you want to stay tuned for the V action, you can by subscribing here to Slow Motion Broadcasting and hitting that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. We also have the inaugural broadcast of the Grand Prix Tour Porsche Series coming up in little over 30 hours time tomorrow night here on Slow Motion Broadcasting to round off what has been an enthralling season 1 of 2026, heading through the holidays through into the brand new calendar year. It's been a dream one, and we've had some amazing Weekend Warriors action throughout, and still so much more racing for season 2 in store. But we got to talk about this race and this battle that is kind of breaking into a 3 affair. Scott Russell, despite the fact I was down on him a few moments ago, has reeled in the gap between himself, Chris Murakami, and Antonio Reese.
Yeah, it really has closed it down. Is now definitely looking forward as opposed to watching his rearview mirror, as he's kind of pulled the gap on Phil Berry there, who's still running 11th, and Phil's still 3rd in the Spec 2, so he's having a good day today. As Scott looking to regain some of those positions that he had earlier. You see him looking to the inside here, just to the inside of Murakami, and able to get side by side, but not enough to close that and make the overtake. As now he's going to switch over, look to the inside of this corner, nothing doing there, as Murakami is able to hold him off as they work their way around. I'm not even sure what corner this is, but we'll see what happens here as these guys are still going pretty hot and heavy. Antonio Reese is starting to get a little bit of a gap. The more that Russell fights with Murakami, is going to give Reese a chance to break away just a little bit. And they've got themselves a pretty serious gap already, so they're not in any danger there. Oh, is Russell looking to the inside again and has to lock the brakes down against Murakami to keep it from a little bit of a pit maneuver from occurring there. But a 10-second gap from Reese up to the P7 car of Al Shotwi. So those top 7 have really kind of checked out. As a matter of fact, the top 2 are 10 seconds ahead of Harwood. So those guys have really just put the hammer down and just took off.
Yeah, so as everybody is starting to spread out in some instances, other packs are still really intense. Here's the 3-car battle at the moment. Chris Thorpe, Steve Saunders, and Paul Jackson. This is a squabble at the moment for some of the few spots outside of the top 10 currently. And we also have the battle for 17th between 2 master drivers who have had the other rundown thus far. It's Brad Cathcart and Tom Gradwell currently squabbling for 17th right now. Close battles throughout this field as we have just gone past the halfway mark here in the season finale. I want to thank you all for tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and that's a nice little move from Sul Al Shutwi getting it done on Rich Meesters. That was as they headed their way out of turn number 9. That was slick stuff.
That was a very, very nice move by Al Shutwi there. Just took advantage of the line that Meesters ran, just tucked it to the inside, got a good run out of the corner, and now looking to see if he can get past Monty. I don't think he wants to be in between these guys as they're battling for a class championship. So Al Shutwi's going to do what he can to get through here with the quickness and allow Monty and Meesters to go back to the battle. As he's going to look forward and try and get by to start running down Dirk Braun there, setting in P4 as, that's Jeff Jacobson, and that is a tow back to the pits. Not really sure what happened there, but she's coming down the front straight and making that run down into 1 and then into 2. Looks so far so good, and just carrying too much speed there through the triple Gauche. And just finally too much heat in those tires to handle that all the way through at that speed. And finally they just let go. Jacobson with the black flag, he's towed back to the pits, and that's probably it for him. As here in Guido with Antonio Reese. So Antonio's dropped. Let's see, we get a battle here with him, Murakami, and Russell. Very tight there. It's going to be 3 wide. They're going to try it. Oh, Russell's going to look to the inside. Oh, and Reese just checking up outside line, getting a little tap in the back from Murakami. That was not a punt. It ended up being a punt. That was not an intentional punt. But I think Russell actually got through. He did. He's up to P8. So put Russell in 8th, Murakami in 9th, Phil Berry 10th, Antonio Reese dropped to 11th. So he'll have a little bit of work to do to get back up there and challenge Murakami again.
They're still side by side between Thorpe and Cathcart. That's as they head their way all through the top end of the circuit right now, careening their way down the hill out of 7 through 8 into 9 right about now. Black flag for Jeff Jacobson. First time we've seen that here in this race as Cathcart getting hung out to dry. Gets a move put on him by Thorpe. Has also got a move put on him by Gradwell, but Gradwell going to be stuck on the outside. He actually clears them before they even think about turning in for turn 10. That's a nice spot to get a move done. I got to say, these Spec Racer Ford Charles have been very racy at this track. Probably the raciest cars that I've ever seen run here. Yes, even racier than the Formula Vs.
Yeah, they're doing has been some really nice battles there. And you see Tom Gradwell, all these cars have already pitted, so they've already been in the pits. Gradwell's got his car repaired, so he's back to a pristine race car. Now, how long that'll last, we don't know. But for the time being, all 3 of those cars are back in fighting shape, and it looks like the battle can go on here as Gradwell looking to the inside at 1. He's going to take that move over Chris Thorpe, get that done through triple Gauche. and gets it completed by turn 3, and then back out as they make the right-hander and down the hill for turn 4 into 5. So great bit of driving there by Gradwell to get that move done in a very difficult section of the racetrack.
Yeah, we're seeing some very well-composed moves from these drivers, too, in this racy combination. They're not throwing total caution to the wind. We saw a little bit of chaos and craziness break out early, but ever since these racers have settled into a groove, it has been smooth sailing for the most part. Now that we do have to consider as we get into the final 15 and a half minutes of this season, those pit stops you can see sprinkled throughout the field are the drivers who have come down pit lane. These drivers we have on camera shot right now: Gradwell, Thorpe, Cathcart, and Steve Saunders, who has briefly got involved in this tussle but has since dropped back. They've come into the pits. Same can be said about, well, actually no, Solal Shotway did not come down pit lane. Well, he did come down pit lane, but he started in the pit lane. So that's right. It counts on a technicality and a technicality alone, but one that will count fully is Michael Nelson, who just came into the pits in the 959 car.
Yeah, and what that tells you about Al Shotway is he's very fast, because he started from the back of the field, gave everybody a head start, and managed to work his way up all the way up to P5 from a pit start. So he's obviously got some great pace here at this track, and so we'll see what happens when pit stops come, as we're still here with this 3-car battle. Now 4-car battles. You see Saunders just in the background there, but these 3 Masters drivers, we've got some really good class battles going on today between some of our drivers, primarily in the Masters classes. They're just kind of in bunches, and as well as Spec 2 also. They're a little more spread out, as Harwood is kind of far and away the Spec 2 leader, but Russell doing a really good job of closing that gap down, making up positions as he goes, and we'll see who blinks first up here in the front group, as who comes into the pits and maybe tries an undercut. I don't know that undercut is the way to go today, but somebody will probably end up trying it.
Now, what's the saying about the internet? If you think of something, it's probably already been done. If you think about iRacing, if you try and go for a move, somebody's already probably thinking about either you doing that or going for it themselves. Speaking of, Rich Meesters and Jörg Mani just swapped spots in their battle for 6th at the moment. This is the fight for the lead in the Masters category, as we also have Dirk Braun and Solal Shotway about 4.5 seconds up the road. They're battling out as well for the final 2 spots inside the top 5, and what would be the final podium spot of the Spec 1 drivers, not your overall podium, as Richard Harwood, your current Spec 2 class leader, is holding on to that right now. Let's look at how Shotway cutting down. That's a way to get done all over the curb into 10, and he gets it done into 11. That is textbook stuff from Al Shotway.
Yeah, great bit of driving. Al Shotway just obviously showing his pace today, and just doing a great job of working. And these are not sketchy passes. They're pretty definite. I'm going here, I'm going to make this move, and I'm going to go on about my business, and that's exactly what he's done. So put Al Shotway up to P4, as you said, final step on the Spec 1 podium, but P4 overall. Dirk's going to do what he can to hang on to it as we get this battle here with Meesters in front of Monty, and this is the top 2 guys in inverted order in the championship battle. So Meesters doing a great job to do what he can to make up as much ground as he can. So doing an awesome bit of driving there, as now Harwood with a slowdown. So he's going to have to let that. He's going to lose a little more time to the guys in front. But not so much the big worry there is he's really got to slow down. The big worry is coming up behind him. That's Al Shotway and Braun.
Ooh, and this is going to get quite dicey, as a slowdown from Al Shotway. That's going to drop him off into the crutches of Dirk Braun. We'll have to see if he's going to lose out on that spot fully out. Captain's a guess that he probably will. The slowdowns can be quite brutal around this racetrack. We talk about every single time that we come up here. The track limits can be somewhat forgiving in the sense that it's hard to hit one of the barriers around here, but very easy to pick up the 1Xs, pick up the slowdowns, and that could spell disaster for you. As here comes Jason Green, trundling his way down a pit lane, comes in from 2nd, trying to pull something off different than Ian Joyner. I think considering that margin, Jason Green senses an opportunity, and how many times have we seen JG2 be able to pull off a good strategic call to win this race?
Yeah, as we see Meesters coming in as well. well. So yeah, Jason's very good about pit strategy, especially on his fuel. His fuel numbers are almost always perfect. Very rare ever. We've seen him collect a Thompson Trophy or two, but by and large, he's right on the money most of the time. So he's coming in hoping that he can get some draft off the cars that he'll be racing with, as we see Adam Bradshaw. Whoa, okay. That's Philip Berry and Adam Bradshaw working their way. That's P12 and 13. That looked. I won't say what that looked like, but I think everybody knows if they saw that. That's what I think it looked like as well. So Bradshaw, obviously, with a bit of damage, I'm going to guess there was some contact between those two cars at some point in time.
And there may have been a little bit of extracurricular chicanery going on there, as there you can see a spin for Cathcart. That's as he headed his way out of the final turn. That's going to cause him to drop down even more. Antonio Reese is out, and Bradshaw is down in pit lane. What's the deal there?
Yeah, Bradshaw obviously is down pit lane because his front end was missing. So he's coming in for his pit. Yes, it was. The air conditioner had been employed there, so he came down for a pit stop and fuel and his fast repair. Not sure about Antonio Reese. I did not see anything that would indicate he had an issue, but obviously he's out and he's done for the day. He's not getting back in the car, so very sad for Antonio. And so he'll finish down much further down the order than I'm sure he expected, as we've got just people coming in. Harwood Braun is coming out. Monty's coming out. Murakami's in the pits as well. So they're making their pit stops. Jason Green's already back up to P3 and got some clear air, so Jason can run his pace that he needs to go. And Al Shutwee has jumped up to P2, still waiting on him. And him and Joyner, as well as Scott Russell, has yet to pit. So Scott playing the long game after falling down the order a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so this could be when Scott Russell finally comes into form here in this race. That car looks to be, I wouldn't say finished, but it's certainly coming across the line. Here's Ian Joyner coming into the pits, though. This is the major swing that we've been keeping our eye out for. Now, the number to hit for Joyner is about 14 seconds, because that's roughly the amount of time that Jason Green stopped in his pit stall. It was 13.97s in the pit stall, 42.9 down pit lane. So let's keep an eye on Joyner. JG2 always calculated in his efforts. Joyner 10.98 seconds out and away in the pit stall as he trundles his way through into the pit exit right about now. Solal Shutwee has also come into the pit lane too. Let's see what the time is. Gun to gun, line to line, 40.0. Joyner with the lead.
Yeah, Joyner very much shorter than Jason Green. Cone to cone, about 2.8 seconds between those two cars. So the only question is did Joyner not take enough fuel, or did Jason Green take too much? And we'll find that out in about 7.5 minutes, as everybody has pitted. I think now Al Shutwee has pitted again, is down to P4. Harwood has reassumed P3, but Al Shutwee just behind him. So that battle is just about to start picking up. Dirt Braun rounds out your top five. Jorg Monty is ahead of Rich Meesters by 5 seconds. So obviously very slow pit stop for Meesters. 17.0 versus Monty's 11.6. So there's your gap there between those two cars. Murakami sitting in 8th, Russell and Berry rounding out your top 10.
And, you know, unrelated from the racing that we have at the moment here with 7 minutes left to go, I'm saying this slightly quieter into the microphone. It's a 70-degree day here in the city of Philadelphia, so I've got my window open, and I'm happy that my neighbors only started getting out of their house once I got that Durkee's Dickles hat trick taken care of, because that would have been a lot to try and explain. Here's Richard Harwood and Solal Shutwee battling for the final podium spot overall right now. Harwood on track for a win in Spec 2 and a championship win as well. Al Shutwee just looking to get a good result here. I think Al Shutway, if he had started in his rightful spot, which is here, which is P4, I think he would have been a big thorn in the side to Ian Joyner, but he didn't, and so it is a rousing recovery drive trying to make his way up into the podium. Harwood's put together a good race, but there's no stopping Al Shutway as he goes for the move down the inside into Triple Gosh and through into P3 is going to go.
Yeah, good move, Al Shutway. I think it was just a matter of time. He was just looking for the right place to make that pass. He did it in the turn one, so he's got clear, and so he can still start chasing down Jason Green. But there's not going to be enough time to even think about it. It's going to take a little bit of something happening to P1 or 2. If Joyner doesn't take enough fuel, runs out of gas, maybe Al Shutway moves up a position. But I think now he should be focused on the cars behind. So we see Scott Russell battling with Chris Murakami, and that is a battle for P8. And Russell looking to the inside there, able to get side by side, but don't know he's not going to have enough steamed up the hill in order to make that move. As his car looks a lot better now that he's been in the pits. It looks like it's Spec Racer again. And not a piece of abstract art as they through. That's the good thing about this league with the fast repair. Gives them a chance to get everything right, so that way these guys can battle as hard as they need to.
Yeah, with the weird art projects notwithstanding, we're getting into the crunch time here. 5 minutes less than that left on the clock, and Ian Joyner still your race leader. 6.2 seconds is the margin. Farther back from there, we have Al Shutway, who's still trying to shake off the challenge from Richard Harwood like a bad case of the fleas. I think that battle may be dusted. Here's the one to keep note, though. Murakami and Russell nose to tail. Scott Russell, at this point, just looking for glory. He's pretty much settled that he's going to finish this race P2 in the championship. He just is trying to get a good result out of this and get a good result not only for like championship reasons as well, but also that's the fact that he really showed some thunderous pace. So I think if Russell had a couple less falling anvils come down on him, he probably would have been able to fight for an overall podium like Richard Harwood was doing a bit earlier on. Here's Thorpe and Saunders. That's Chris Thorpe getting the move done on Steve Saunders, heading off into turn number 1. Even though that start-finish straightaway is rather short, it's still a fantastic spot to get a move done.
Yeah, it really is. It was indeed a good move there by Thorpe to move up a position over Steve Saunders. Steve Saunders P4 in Spec 2. So having a pretty good day for Steve, as well as Chris Thorpe up there in 12th. P5 in Masters, but they've got some serious Masters drivers up front doing some really hard battling with Monty still looks like he's still stretching the gap over Meesters. Murakami and Russell locked in battle there. But this race has just been really good. It's been challenging for all these drivers, and now that they've got kind of spread out a little bit, we're starting to see some really good pace amongst all the drivers as well, not just our upper tier drivers. As Russell's still looking to get around Murakami, he needs to find a place. Murakami not giving him any room to make a move, and this might be it right here as Russell just tucks in, and if he can get a good run down through here, he can make the move down into 1. But Murakami going to stay defensive. Russell's going to try it on the outside through Triple Gauche. That's so far so good. He's got a little bit of advantage, taking it really wide there and bring it around, and the track will come back to his side, and that is a very, very nice move by Scott Russell to take that position.
Yeah, Scott Russell showing that he knows his way around this racetrack quite well. Got a move done around Murakami quite well too, as he still is feeling the pressure. Murakami thought about maybe sneaking a wheel around the outside as they headed their way in that small little flat app last between 5 and 6, just not enough to try and reel him in. Getting into the final few minutes of this race, 2 minutes left on the clock for Ian Joyner to try and cap off what has been a brilliant season for the driver of this number 8 car from the Almeida Racing Academy. First burst onto the Weekend Warriors scene on the Formula Ford side of things, where he was able to get some absolutely mighty results over there, on track for a championship, and then moved over to these Spec Racer Fords. And even though it is a completely different kettle of fish, still a really good driver, well-composed races, and able to pull out wins like this, even when we were thinking, okay, somebody's got to try and pull the strategy over-under on him. He ends up pulling the over-under on the driver that we thought was going to do the over-under on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Ian's had a great season and well-deserved championship. As hopefully we'll get some, as the new season starts, that brings some of the old veterans back, at least to start the season, with the likes of, Marco Panero or, Felix Samoas, and Pleva, who's not here today, which is kind of surprising. And the one name that for whatever reason, I'm struggling, and somebody tells me who it is, I'll instantly know it. But once again, Joyner has been up at the front the entire season, so no surprise that he's going to walk away with this championship. And Green is having himself a good run here, only 6 back, but I think Joyner has kind of taken his foot off just a little bit there as we're on our last lap.
Yeah, one more lap of racing action from this season of Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors action. Ian Joyner on track for a W. This battle, though, with Steve Saunders and Chris Thorpe still not over. And as we see that type, I believe it's a type 116 effort of Chris Thorpe.
Mm-hmm.
Do want to give some love to Felix Samoas. Haven't seen him a lot this season in Weekend Warriors competition. Actually got the opportunity to see him on track for what could be the final time on the other Radical official side of things as I wrapped up my final Radical official show over on the iRacing channel. Oh, and that's a bad moan for Murakami. That's going to make that battling with himself and Scott Russell a lot easier, as here was the moment as they headed their way down into the final corner. Oh, rear lock, huge rear lock, snaps it around. It's like he ripped the handbrake.
Yeah. That's probably a drop down into first gear, and the diff just locks up, and around we go. But a tough end there with a lap to go there for Chris Murakami. That's going to drop him out of the podium positions for the black flag now for probably incident points. So, which is just more from bad to worse, as obviously on the last lap, you can't clear that. So that's going to be a 40-second penalty. And he's already said, you know what, I'm done. So he just parks it and goes on his way. That's going to drop him down. The only car he'll be in front of in the class is going to be Antonio Reese, unfortunately. So tough break for Chris. Had a really good battle there between himself and Antonio Reese and Scott Russell and others. So a tough way to end the day.
Yeah, certainly tough for Murakami. Not a tough way to end, though, for your class winners. Ian Joyner, Richard Harwood, and Jörg Monty. Fascinatingly enough, I think these drivers who grabbed the wins in class are also going to be your champions as well at the end of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior season. There's the fall of the checkered from Monty. He finishes P6. Rich Meester's close finish with himself, and Scott Russell, you can give the nose at to Meester's at the end of it all there. About a quarter of a second the gap as they came across the line. But Ian Joyner rounds off a fantastic season for him here in the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. Grabbed the championship lead early and really never looked back.
Yeah, it was great, and that's not doesn't happen very often that our 3 championship winners end up winning their classes in the final race of the season. So well done by everybody. Really good racing today, as we see Paul Jackson coming across, and then followed up very soon by Michael Nelson. So yeah, great racing today. Lots of battles around the track, but Ian Joyner, the class of the field, and what could have been for Sol Al-Shutwi. I think I agree with you. He would have been up there battling for the race win had he started in his position of 4th, as opposed to starting from the pit. So maybe we'll figure out how that happened, if it was something on him or if it was just bad timing. As we found a shortcut, and where are we going, Mr. Green?
Are they going to lead us down in pit lane? I think they are going to lead us down in pit lane. Let's.
Oh yeah. So for people who haven't seen this, pit lane is got graduated spots. So we got some nice ramps here. There we go.
Oh my goodness gracious! Look at that airtime. Let's wait for another one. I am horrified by what we're going to see. Oh, that wasn't too bad. Oh, yeah, that Lédenon building. See, it's a good thing that we're commentating this race from the comfort of our own homes. Oh, golly, I thought that was just going to be a clobber there. Oh, 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 there's Monty coming in too. He barrel rolls. I'm very happy that we're commentating this race from the comfort of our own homes instead of that pit building, because otherwise we'd see a Spec Racer Ford flying across our window.
Yeah, so good news, bad news. They found a nice ramp in the pit area. However, they ghost, so they can't make contact with each other while they're over there. So they get a good jump out of it, and they get to flip their cars around, but we don't see the giant collisions that we're used to here during this. We get a nice little jump there from somebody over one of the other competitors.
Hey, it wouldn't be the Spec Racer Fords. It wouldn't be the Weekend Warriors at all if we didn't have this. I'm going to give a quick little rant here because I just saw a driver gun through that gravel trap. The gravel trap on pit entry is maybe the dumbest thing that I've ever seen in my life, but it's... I don't... It's like a wheelchair with a roll bar. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. There's a gravel trap there because somebody did something that needed to have a gravel trap put there. They don't put gravel traps there just for no reason. Somebody did something there that they said, oh, okay, let's put a gravel trap here to keep that from happening again.
Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Welcome to Jackass. Let's take a look at our race results here. At the end of it all, it's some fitting winners in all three of our classes and a fitting winner overall. Ian Joyner gets the victory over Jason Green. Sulal Shutwi in a mighty comeback after starting the race in the pits. He'll round out your podium in third. Richard Harwood grabs a win in Spec 2. He finishes in fourth overall. Dirk Braun, Dirkie Stickles rounds out your top 5, with Jörg Monty winning in the Masters category in 6th. Rich Meesters in 7th. Scott Russell in P8. Phil Berry will be classed in 9th, with Tom Gradwell completing your top 10.
Yep. Steve Saunders finishing in P11. Chris Thorpe in 12th. Brad Cathcart finishing 13th. 14th is Paul Jackson. 15th, Michael Nelson. Chris Murakami in 16th. Adam Bradshaw finishes in 17th. Antonio Reese finishes in 18th. Jeff Jacobs in 19th. Josh Wilkie in 20th. Hugh Simpkins finishing in 21st. And I believe that is Jason Dunnington, the last car, but did not take the start. So that is your post-race classification.
Yeah, I believe we'll also be able to get some up-to-date championship points loaded. Aaron Bray, part of the Weekend Warriors community, has done an absolutely brilliant job season after season being the official scorekeeper of the Weekend Warriors world and giving us up-to-date driver points before we wrap up these broadcasts. I want to give some love to Aaron because that is a very tricky job to do, and much love to him, and much love to the entirety of the Weekend Warriors community as well. At the end of another amazing season. I guess on a technicality, this would be my... this will be the 12th season that I've been able to cover any form of Weekend Warriors action, potentially. See, my memory is absolutely terrible, so you can take that with as many grains of salt as you would like. Let's take a look at your championship points, though. As we expected, Ian Joyner grabs the title over Nathaniel Schramm, who didn't show up here in this race. Jason Green runs at your top 3 when it's all said and done. Dirk Braun, fantastically composed season from him. He's classed in 4th. Kane Halliburton runs at your top 5. Alexander Gorson is in P6. Jason Dunnington, who did not take the start here, is classed in 7th in the points. Alish Pleva is in 8th. Felix Samoa is in 9th. Barrett Brummett, who put in some good drives throughout the season, runs at your top 10 with the likes of Marco Pinero, Sulal Shutwi, Christoph van Langendonk, Joachim Osbeck, Maurizio Nazelli, Dan Witzak, Connor Bell, and Jake Williams, completing your 18 drivers classed in the Spec 1 points. So we'll give some a quick little bit of love to Maurizio Nazelli. We didn't mention it at the time, but lost out on the Formula 4 championship last season because of heel spurs, but did make his Weekend Warriors return. It was wonderful to see him out there on the racetrack a little bit earlier on this season. Hopes high that we'll see him in 2026's season 2. Here is Spec 2, where Richard Harwood is your champion over Scott Russell. 638 points compared to Russell's 602. Matt Thompson was able to get the nose out over Phil Berry, just barely beat Paul Jackson to 4th in the points there. Steve Saunders only 4 points back from there, and then Kevin Adrian 1 point behind behind. Really close margins in Spec 2. That's part of the reason why I always love that class. Hugh Simpkins in P8. Jeff Jacobson is in 9th in front of Marcel Gorson in 10th. Josh is delighted to hear about the fact that the season from hell is over for him. He's class at 11th. Jeffrey Adkins at 12th. Daniel Wood in P13. Ben Rycroft in 14th. Mario Kremser in 15th. Adam Bradshaw, Daniel Salmon, and Edgar Sanchinelli in P18 at the end of the season. And now we'll take a look at Masters, where it's Jörg Monty grabbing the crown over Rich Meesters. Meesters put together a fantastic campaign here. He wins out in the battle for vice champion over Antonio Reese. Chris Thorpe is classed in 4th with Tom Gradwell in P5. Brad Cathcart will be in 6th at season's end. Chris Murakami is directly behind in 7th. Adam Bradshaw a little bit farther behind in P8. Andrew Love in 9th. Marcus Burkett rounds out your top 10. Jim Brewster, Formula V admin in P11. Kurt Nunez in 12th. Darren Kuhn in P13. Charles Vaccaro in 14th place. Michael Nelson in 15th. Nicholas Rycroft is classed in 16th with Rick Washone rounding out your 17 drivers classified in the Masters category. There are your points, and now we've got some interviews. Charles, I'm going to let you get it started and ask who you want to have a chat with first.
Well, I'm going to bring in a guy that I love talking to. Haven't had a chance to talk with him, but he is our Masters winner and Masters champion. Jörg Monty is waiting on us. Jörg, congratulations on the class victory and the class championship this year. Many, many congratulations to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, and good evening, guys, and good morning, wherever you are. And yeah, that was actually really surprising for me. I haven't done any laps, nothing at all. I just finished my new rig, you know, putting it together, measure everything, and just put it on the spot, hooked up the monitors, put everything on, and just sat in the car and raced. So I'm actually surprised how it went, so I'm quite happy.
There you go. It's always nice to get. Still got the new rig smell. You haven't even really got it broken in yet. So talk about the race today. It's obviously a pretty technical racetrack that we had to deal with here at Lédenon. Doesn't get a lot of usage, but you seem like you had a really good battle all race long. It seemed with it was yourself and it was Antonio a little bit, but it was also Chris Murakami. So just all the guys that Rich Meesters as well, can't leave him out. Had a great season this season, but just really you guys were in a pack amongst yourself, really doing some hard battling.
Yeah, that's right. And I got pretty lucky on the start. I think in lap 1 or 2, where the guys ahead did some little crashy or something. Mm-hmm. That was pure luck, and then I just tried to focus, just not to do any stupid things, because I know Lédenon, and it always happens to me there. It happens to me almost again on the last lap that I spun. So I was always careful not to overbrake, not to go too early on the throttle. That's all I wanted to do, and I just wanted to finish. So to have a nice, happy ending, you know, with the new rig and no crashing, that's all I wanted, and it went well.
Well, there you go, Jörg. Well, once again, congratulations. Obviously, V runoffs next week. Then 2 weeks from now, we start off a new season with new possibilities. And of course, you as the reigning champion. We'll see. Obviously, I know that you've spent a lot more time with friends and family, let's say, just off the rig. So we'll see you again. I'm sure as much as you're able to get in here. It's always a pleasure to watch you race, and it's always a pleasure to have a chat with you at the end of these. So we'll let you give some thanks and some shout outs, and we'll let you go and celebrate.
Thanks a lot, guys, and it was a great season. Perfect producing, Guido. Molto bene, signore. And to all the guys and the colleagues online, it was just fantastic, and I'm trying to do as many races I can, but like you mentioned it already, family goes ahead, so and I have still so much work at the moment, so I might drop some weeks, but I'm trying to do all the races on Sundays. Yeah,
there you go. Well, Jörg, thank you very much for stopping by, and we'll see you we'll probably see you next week if you're available, and we'll look forward to watching you race again soon.
Okay, thank you a lot, guys. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that right there was Jörg Mani, our Masters champion at the end of the season. And now I'm going to have a little chat here with our Spec 1 champion and race winner here, Ian Joyner, joining us here in the broadcast booth. Ian, welcome in. You join a rare club here today. First driver that I can remember in quite some time to grab a Spec 1 championship in both the Formula Fords about a year ago and now the Spec Racer Fords here this season. How does it feel?
It feels great. Yeah, really happy. It's been an interesting season, really. I think it started off pretty well. It's been quite a lot of different winners. Certainly, just consistency I think has played a part. So turning up and usually being there or thereabouts. So I've had some really good results and some not so good ones. Lots of sort of different competition at different times, different tracks. It's a great season. Did it last time as well. I think the first time the SRFs, and it's a whole new world to the FF, that's for sure. The sort of the strategy side of it, the immense draft. So yeah, I think the proportion of pit stops I've screwed up is now a bit less, so that's good. I'm starting to learn the fuel saving, so yeah, delighted really. It's been a great season.
You know, we were wondering, come time for the pit stops here in this race, whether Jason Green was going to try and throw a strategic curveball your way, and then we saw you come down pit lane and have 3 seconds shorter of a stop than JG2. So I think the strategy is coming along quite nicely there. Do want to ask you about these Spec Racer Fords, of course, driving a lot with, of course, here in this series, along with the Almeida Racing Academy, where many of the drivers that we have here are a part of. How do you enjoy these Spec Racer Fords? They're certainly a whole different kettle of fish from the FFs.
Yeah, they're just brilliant fun. I think obviously you've got the added fuel saving. I think I was chatting to Jason just after the race. I think this was quite a nice one. It was sort of fun because it was pretty well a flat out race between me and Jason. I was a little nervous about whether or not he was still managing to do a bit of fuel saving, but he wasn't. I wasn't fuel saving, so yeah. I think he said he stopped either slightly long or short on the stops. That might have explained some of the gap at the end. But I suppose that's a big part of it. Yeah, and just back to your question, the cars. They're a lot more positive. They're quite sort of a stable platform. Haven't got a ton of grip, but it's just quite a nice feel on the limit. They've been a brilliant car for the Almeida series. You certainly have to respect the brake pedal. It's pretty easy to lock a wheel. The shifts are a little bit brutal, but generally speaking, they're kind of, to me at least, they're quite an intuitive car to drive. The racing's amazing because it's close. The draft keeps them all together. They don't wheel tangle maybe in the same ways that the FFs do. So yeah, it's a brilliant series.
And a brilliant drive for you throughout this season. But now we head off into Season 2 of 2026. What are the plans heading into that? Are you thinking of maybe trying to go for back-to-back crowns here in the Spec Racer Fords? Are you going to maybe take a step back, maybe head off to the Formula Vs potentially? What's a plan heading into Season 2 of 26?
I think I'm going to have a bit of a quieter season. I'm going to try a few different cars, so I probably will take a break from the SRFs. Also, when daylight saving kicks in, it gets a little bit later in the UK. So yeah, I'll probably take. I certainly don't expect to do a full series. Might jump in every now and again. I've said for a while I've really fancied the Vs. I've just still not quite got around to it. Might try and drop into some of those. I think I'm going to try to not have every Sunday kind of committed for a little while, and maybe just try a few different things for a season. Then perhaps think about committing to a full season next time, but I'm sure I'm never going to be that far away from the sim.
Yeah, we'll probably see you at least at some point throughout Season 2, and if you do go into the Formula Vs, I'm sure Guido and the production truck will very much so be encouraging you go down that path off the back of his P2 run in the Spec 1 points this past season. But Ian, we'll give you one last opportunity, as I've probably asked you this question 50,000 times. Any thank yous or shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, massive shout out to the whole series, everyone in it. It's been it's always such a. I said this a little bit actually about the Almeida Championship because they've got a great atmosphere as well. But for sure, Weekend Warriors has just been one of my favourite kind of things I've been involved in the time I've been sim racing. Such a nice community, such sort of good hearted racing. So a massive shout out to Stevie, everyone helps out, especially this season. Dirk Braun for sponsoring it. It's really nice being able to watch back, and I've got a few people watching. Yeah, so thanks everyone. Thanks you guys for making it fun to watch back. And yeah, I've had a blast. I shall see you again sometime soon.
Yeah, we'll see you at some point in the not too far off future, and congratulations on the championship, and we'll see you around soon.
Cheers, bye-bye.
And that right there was our Spec 1 winner, Spec 1 champion, Ian Joyner. And Charles, I'll save the man who probably had the tensest afternoon out of all of our champions, Richard Harwood, Spec 2 class winner, Spec 2 class champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Richard in. Richard, congratulations. Class win and a class championship today. It's very rarely that we have all three of our class winners are also our championship winners here in the last race of the season. But congratulations. You did everything you needed to do today to in order to secure the championship victory.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, it was definitely a race. I had I think a 15-point lead coming into the last race from Scott, so I just needed some solid points because I think I had quite a low score even in there as well that would have dropped out with any decent score today. So yeah, I just needed a solid result, but I was telling myself just to keep it sensible and just go. But as soon as that green light went and I got a good run down the start, I was passing a couple of people and then right on Scott at the start. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. And then unfortunately Scott span, I think, on about lap 2 or 3 right in front of me. And then after that was a pretty lonely race, but I didn't mind at all, just trying to bring it home without spinning, which, super easy to do at this track in these cars. There's 3 or 4 places where you can spin it up mid-corner. So just trying desperately not to do that and managed to get home.
Yeah, you did. Like I said, you did exactly what you needed to do. As we're sitting here watching the replay of you behind Scott prior to the spin, and it seems like that a couple of corners there caught several of our drivers out today. But you got to finish. You got to keep the car on the track in order to finish, and you did exactly what you needed to do. Even if you would have finished, I think you would have been very close. Even if Scott had maintained the gap. And not spun, it was going to be a tight battle between you two. But unfortunately for him, and fortunately for you, made it a little bit easier race. Of course, you had a very hard charging Sol Al Shutwi coming up there at the end of the race. It probably made you a little give you a little caution there as he was trying to work his way up into the podium positions. But well done all the way around.
Yeah, I didn't want to get caught up in anything. I'd short fueled a little bit, so I was a little bit already saving fuel, so I just let Saul go. I mean, he was faster anyway. Just let him go and brought it home. So yeah, all good. Great season. My first one ever driving these cars. I enjoyed them immensely. Quite a lot of new tracks for me along the way this year too. So it's been great fun to do something a bit fresh for me in iRacing, and great to be part of the series.
Well, there you go. Well, as I always say when we talk to our S2 champions, that no good deed goes unpunished. So it may be that you're in the upper bracket next season. Should you choose to compete, or is that something that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll be back. I've enjoyed these cars immensely. I feel like I've still got a lot to learn. There's been a few races where I feel like I've had the same pace as the front guys. But then races like today, Ian and Jason were both in an absolutely different league to everyone else on the track today. So still lots to learn. So I'll be back next year and try and do even better.
There we go. Richard, congratulations again. And we'll let you give any thanks before we let you go and celebrate your class victory and class championship.
Yep. Same list as normal, with one extra actually today. So yeah, thanks to Dirk for all the sponsorship for the series. Having you guys do the commentary and be able to watch it back makes a huge difference. So thanks to Dirk, thanks for you guys for watching us. And then the final shout out this time is my wife, whose birthday is tomorrow. So we're going to go and have maybe a bottle of wine and a bit of a chill out evening tonight.
Well, there you go. It was International Women's Day today and then a birthday tomorrow. So she gets double present. So just remember that.
She deserves it.
That's right. That's exactly right. Richard, thank you very much. And we'll see you very soon.
Will do. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, that right there was Richard Harwood, our Spec 2 champion at the end of this season. Charles, It was a treat. It was a good way to round off this season, but just as always, fantastic to be alongside you here in the booth. Final thoughts on season 1 of 2026 here in the Spec Racer Forwards.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? I love this community, the drivers, everybody involved in this. Stevie, all the admins, Michelle and Jason and Jimbo, and Aaron, Ron doing the points. Just great work. And as always, I love doing the commentary for these. You're still gonna have to pay me to do it, but I still enjoy coming in and talking about these race cars and these racing drivers. It's just been fantastic.
Yeah, it's a treat as always. I gotta say, folks, we've got some of the best drivers in the iRacing world, both in terms of the way they drive and the way they are as people as well. You know, it's one thing to be a fantastic racer, but it's another to be a fantastic person as well. And throughout this season of Weekend Warriors action, we've really seen that get put on full display from the people in the YouTube chat and the people on these broadcasts showing up week in and week out to tune into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, through to the sponsors that have made this action possible. At the start of the season, we were only covering the Vs. That was just about it. We weren't covering the Spec Racer Fords. We weren't covering the Formula Fords, but the Weekend Warriors community, as it so often does, was able to pull through, able to make these broadcasts possible. And I always say this, it's a treat every single season to be able to call this action. And I can speak for all of us here at Slow Motion Broadcasting that we appreciate and love the Weekend Warriors community. Season after season, they go above and beyond. We've got one of the best communities in the entirety of iRacing broadcasting. Trust me, I've worked with enough broadcasting companies. I know for sure we've got some of the best drivers, some of the best action, and some of the best people as well. Not a lot of you get the opportunity to see this. Some of you maybe here at Slow Motion Broadcasting get to know the gentleman that I get to work with. But Charles, you're one of the best color announcers that I've ever gotten the opportunity to work with. We have that itchy and scratchy sort of energy that makes these shows just a hell of a lot of fun. And Guido, I got the opportunity to produce a couple of times this season in the case of some unfortunate events, but Guido's one of the best with SDK, works that program like an absolute treat, knows how to fiddle with the dials and push the buttons exactly when they need to be pushed. And even though he may sometimes yell into our ear, hey, we're commentators, a producer's job is to depress us when we're too high and bring us up when we're a bit too down. Along with that, I want to thank Josh Wilkie, as always, for the fantastic work that he does out there on the out here on Slow Motion Broadcasting and out there on the racetrack whenever he doesn't have a falling anvil coming down on him. Thanks as always to Stevie Ray for making the Weekend Warriors possible, and all of you for tuning into the action as well. And if you're interested in sponsoring the Season 2 action for the Weekend Warriors, you can get in contact with Stevie Ray and the Weekend Warriors by joining the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server and learning how to put your name on this amazing racing action week in and week out here on SMB. But folks, I think that is just about it here for the Weekend Warriors Season 1 of 2026. From December through into the start of March, we've seen winter go by. I've had 2 blizzards hit me and God knows how much snow, but we saw some amazing racing action as well. Thank you to all of you for tuning into the action here in Season 1 of 2026 in the Weekend Warriors world. But for one final time here this season, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the broadcast booth, and Guido Marzucchi working on the cameras and the graphics and the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for tuning in to Slow Motion Broadcasting's coverage of the Weekend Warriors, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.